Hey team, and happy Friday. So I spent this past week just learning a little bit more about webhooks. So here's a quick workflow I put together just to help me learn a little bit more about webhooks. So this workflow kind of shows two maybe separate concepts. The first one is a automated blind review process with a user model in the middle, right? So picture this, right? You submit a labeling job that's going to trigger a webhook, and now it's going to make a blind inference with a custom model or foundation model to do that initial QAQC check. If the inference almost matches up with your initial labels, it's going to pass the check and get sent downstream. Otherwise, the data row fails the check, it's going to get sent to the rework bucket. So the annotator has another chance to rework those annotations and send it to the model again. So that's the first concept. The second concept here is to sync up your model experiments with your annotation project at the speed of labeling. So as soon as your annotations comes in through the annotation project, we're going to send that directly into your model experiment along with the corresponding annotations and the inferences from the model of your choice. It could be the same model as the blind inference check, or it could be a completely different model. It's really up to you. So if this doesn't make sense, let me show you how this works. So here is my model run. As you can see here, doesn't have any data for the time being. And here's a fresh annotation workflow. So we follow along the diagram, right? Nothing should ever go into this bucket. Using the webhook, it should always default and pass the data row to later stages or back into the rework. So let's start doing some labeling. So here's the first image. There's a lot of people here. And just to show you what it looks like to fail that initial QAQC check by our model, we can send this to the review process and we can leave a lot of people out. So as you can expect, that model is not going to agree with the bounding boxes I just drew. So by submitting that annotation, it's going to submit it to the webhook. It's going to trigger the webhook. You can see the accuracy relative difference is not good. Therefore, this gets moved to the rework bucket. So we take a look at the rework bucket. We should now see one data row. And from concept 2, right, if we now refresh this webhook task, we can now see our corresponding ground truth and model inference sent directly into our model experiment. Okay, so let's go back into our labeling editor and let's try our best to do a better job of labeling so it passes that initial blind review QAQC. So here's one person, here's two person, and here's three. Right, this picture is pretty easy. We'll send this to a review process. And again, it's going to compare the annotations with the inferences of that model. If it matches to a certain threshold, it's going to send that downstream into a later stage within my workflow. So we'll wait for this webhook to trigger. And as you can see here, our accuracy and performance metric is a lot better. So this data row is going to get added to the next stage. So we go back to our workflow chart here, right? We now have one image downstream. From our earlier one was rejected. However, both are now added to our model run. So now you can compare your annotations with your model inference at the speed of your annotation job. So hopefully this makes sense. And yeah, let me know if there's any feedback. Thank you.